Hi everyone, it has been a while and so I figured it's probably time to go ahead and make a new video to get folks updated. I do want to preface this by saying that this is a life update video. It's a plans for the future type of video as well, but there is nothing immediately wrong, I would say, with Paul and I. I think that can be kind of scary when people say life updates and stuff. Paul and I are fine. Our relationship is fine. We're not separating. None of us are sick or ill, or we're not losing our jobs or anything like that. It's just been a minute and we need to talk about things because this last year was definitely eye-opening for certain things, and it has changed our perspective and our direction as to what we want to do. So let's get into it. A lot of you have been here for a long time, right? You've been here since we lived in Columbus, Ohio. We sold everything, hit the road, did some work camping stuff in the National Forest, traveled all over the country, and then we decided to buy a parcel of land in order to have some stability in our off season. So that's where a lot of you guys probably come in, right? You came here for the desert homesteading journey where we started building on that land, clearing it, and doing all of those different projects that were necessary out there. And so fast forward a little bit from that, we ended up doing another work camping season while still having the land sitting down in southeastern Arizona. And that last season was a little frustrating for us. So what we did is we decided to essentially, we made the crazy decision to go ahead and purchase another property down in southeastern Arizona, just another home. That way it was established, we had a place of stability, and we could come down here and then focus also on the land. I think the smarter thing, honestly, would have just been to rent an Airbnb for 3 months to let us kind of settle and decompress. But I think, again, we were just so desperate to just kind of just have somewhere that was a little bit more stable for us. And we were just kind of over it as far as the whole work camping scenarios went after that last really frustrating season. And so here we are. You saw in one of our previous videos where we were starting to build a shed project on there with used pallets. Some of the things that you guys did not see behind the scenes was our frustration, our overload of stress with that whole project. The amount of time it was taking for that project was really eating away at us. That video took a few months to actually film. It was not something where it was just like 2 weekends and we were done. It took a lot because a lot of the frustration of that was that our tools would break. We would have to go buy things that we needed in order to complete the job. We forgot tools in some cases going out there, or things just weren't lining up or working right. So we would have to take things apart, reconstruct it, because Paul and I are not professional builders. We have no idea what we're doing. And that definitely was grating on us there for that last season. And then we pretty much got little to nothing accomplished out there, which also was very disheartening for us both. And it kind of came to a head on a video that obviously we haven't posted, which is the follow-up to that building project. We essentially, on that last day of filming, it was very hot. It was getting very hot, which greatly decreased our numbers of working hours out there. So instead of us working a handful of hours, we could maybe get 1 to 2 hours in of actually working before the sun was just way too much on us. And so that last day, we kind of hit our boiling point, essentially. Paul and I had like just a mental break, and we were just like, we're over this. Like, this is just so dumb. Like, why are we putting so much time and effort for this stupid thing? Like, we just had to step away from that project. And so we said, let's take the summer. It's going to be too hot to come out here to work on this at this point. Let's take the summer, figure out what we want to do. Is our heart still actually in this whole project, or, is it time to just do something else? And so we did that. We came back here in this house, and we decided that let's make do with what we have here, right? We have something established. We have a nice little yard and things that we can work with here to work on some of those self-sufficiency goals. And one of the big things was actually gardening and farming. That was a big passion of Paul and I. If you go back to a video that's pretty far back where we actually purchased those lands and we talk about our goals and dreams with actually working on those parcels of land that we purchased while we were still living in the van full time, there's a couple of key points that we lay out in there. And so one of the things that I've already talked about, obviously, was the building aspect, and we wanted to do natural building. Obviously, that's not going to work out really great, right? So we had frustrations, so that was already one that we could not check off that list, even though I have a huge passion for natural building. I've attended workshops and things like that. I think, unfortunately, Paul and I are just not made to be doing that. So that was one we could not check off. The other aspect, again, was the gardening, that I want to talk about, the gardening and farming aspect out here. And so we put a lot of money into this last year into getting our soil back into usable quality, amending it, making it viable. We established some raised beds here in order to grow some things, and unfortunately the output that we received, based on all the time, effort, and water and everything else, we received such just a minor fraction of what we were expecting as far as totals at the end of the day, as far as harvesting. So that was a little bit of a kick in the gut. Those of you who don't know, I actually run a microflower farm off of this property as well. And that was a learning experience as well in trying to establish how to grow things out here. I was able to make that a semi-successful year. But then this is going to kick into the next aspect I want to talk about. So obviously the gardening farming thing was not great out here. We were not yielding the results that we wanted to see for the amount of effort and water and everything else we were putting into it. And the other aspect is community that I want to talk about. And that was also a key point in that original video of our hopes and dreams of this area out here, was to establish community and find like-minded people to be working with. And so as a new flower farmer, I knew I was going to have stock coming in. I wanted to, I had the thought of just starting a farmer's market out here. And so I started reaching out to community officials, people in the city. I started reaching out to other organizations in town, just to kind of weigh thoughts and things like that. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. And I tried to engage with the public, the community, putting calls out there for farmers, growers, producers, things like that, to kind of kickstart this farmers market. And I was met with a lot of negativity. I was met with a lot of questioning my intentions. I was met with a lot of like, good luck, but you can't do it type of mentality. I come from a background of planning and organizing for festivals and things of that sort. And so I kind of have an idea of what goes into it and the amount of work, and then also what to look for to make it a good, high quality type of market. And unfortunately, anywhere else, I think in this country, would have been so stoked if their small community came out and said, hey, you want to start a farmer's market? I think they would have been like, heck yeah, how can I help? And all that stuff. But unfortunately out here, I was met with just a wall of negativity and toxicity. And so the other aspect I want to talk about too is that people are kind of different out here. Paul and I are from the Midwest, and so, I think we are a little bit overly friendly for our own good, but that's just kind of how we were raised, right? But out here, there's just such a rugged individualism, like some kind of bizarre bravado thing going on. I'll give you an example. So I will be outside working in my garden. People walk by, obviously, with their dogs, or they're getting exercise. And, a common courtesy in the Midwest is just to give like, hey, how's it going? Hi, just to acknowledge you, that your presence is there. Whenever Paul and I try to do that, to engage our neighbors, I'm not talking like, people that we have no idea. Like, these are people that live behind us. These are people that live around us. Like, we know who you are. And when you say hello to them, they literally walk by stone-faced, not going to talk to you, don't acknowledge me, you're not there, and I'm like, what in the it's just so foreign to us, we're just, it doesn't make sense, when we go to a grocery store out here, back out in the Midwest, if you have to get around somebody, you say, oh, hey, excuse me, can I get around you? Can I squeeze by you? Oh, that's what you do. But out here, if you do that, we've literally had people almost in fists, ready to fight us over saying something like, excuse me, to them at a store. It's bizarre out here. I don't know how to explain it, guys. But anyways, that's not the full point of this video, but I will say it was a factor, is that the community is definitely not here. At least not what we're looking for. And so we did decide, okay, it's not here, so maybe it's elsewhere then. And so at that point, we were kind of shuttering the idea of Arizona just in total. And we said, okay, well, let's look around. We did start searching through intentional communities out there of people who are like-minded and are just wanting to focus on building community, working together, being neighborly, and growing food and things like that. And so I know when I say intentional communities, some people instantly think in their head communes or things like that. And it's like, no, there are different ones out there. we're not going out to share anybody's toothbrush or underwear. So, but there was a farming community that really piqued our interest in northern Missouri, and it was a community geared towards farming, where a bunch of neighbors came together to establish a land trust. And so essentially they would buy up parcels of land around them, and then they would lease out said land to folks who would join them as full-time members. So they went through kind of a vetting process to make certain that they were kosher and that everybody could work together. And then, you know, you were given the opportunity to lease a parcel of land to grow, do whatever type of farming venture you wanted to do on, as long as it was not jeopardizing anything on the land. And so it all looked great to us, you know, because again, it wasn't the commune style, it was a more independent style, but coming together occasionally to work as a community for different efforts in that community that they were trying to establish. And so it looked great. And then so we went out to visit. We had scheduled time specifically to go out there. And I've already talked about this guy, so I won't go into depth, but essentially when we got there, everything on paper was great, but we could not get people to engage with us. It's like they had this weird prejudice against us or something. And so, you know, we were, again, friendly, as courteous as possible as we could be. And we were just met with walls. Like nobody wanted to come up to talk to us. We would try to engage them. We would get like monosyllable responses back. And it was devastating to us because we had already put so much time, effort, and even money in to fix the van up, to build it back out again, to take it there. And our thoughts were that, okay, you know, this is going to go great. Everything so far, the connections we've talked with people went really well on, you know, on the phone and everything, and on through email. So, you know, this is cake. We got it, you know. And we were met with just like no interaction whatsoever, no interest in us as to who we were, what our thoughts and dreams were, how we wanted to steward the land. And so we came back essentially with our tails between our legs, and kind of here we are a few months later after that interaction. And so that brings me to the point of this video that I want to share, is that we will be selling our land here, and we will be selling this property as well. The land is actually already up for sale. I will post the listing in our description. That way, if you want to view it, if you are out there watching and are interested and think you can give it a go, you know, your dreams could start on our endings. You know, we've already done some work out there that is already a good kind of foundation for someone. And so, you know, if you're interested, you know, reach out, make an offer, whatever. And as I mentioned, this property is also going to be going as well. However, we will be here for at least maybe another year and a half. Our plan is to actually get this paid down as much as possible, or if not fully paid off, and to then take that equity and place it into somewhere else. As far as where, we are not certain. We have been engaging family members on certain prospects, but it's not set in stone yet, so I don't want to say anything. And it may not come to fruition. And then, you know, we've also, outside of that, been searching around other different areas of possibility where we might have to end up as well. And I don't want to say that as a negative, like we have to end up there. Like, I'm excited to get out of here. Paul is excited to get out of here. It's not a good fit for us out here, is what it comes down to. And finding where we fit is the goal now, is the key part. And finding where we want to establish ourselves, I think, for the rest of our lives together. And that is the goal we are at now. I think we've had our fun with traveling around. Not saying that it wouldn't be a possibility in the future. You know, we might end up work camping again at some point, but you know, we want to be able to give the homesteading thing a go. So we're looking for something that's already kind of pre-established, but fits within our budget that we are looking at, just being realistic with the areas that we're going to and stuff. So I don't want this video to drag on a long time. So again, like I said, I want to get through this as quick as possible, but I want to give you guys an update because obviously that is going to change the dynamic of this channel. This channel has metamorphosized into so many different things over the years, right? That desert homestead chapter is closing, and our next chapter is finding where we fit in, and it's not going to be right away. I may post some fun things now and then on here about frugality, about trying to save as much money as possible in order to try to get this property paid off in the time frame that we're looking at realistically. But I just want to let you guys know that no hard feelings if you feel like you need to unfollow or you know, unsubscribe, because because I'm sure a lot of you were out there rooting for us for this whole desert living and, you know, establishing a homestead out in the middle of nowhere. And so I completely understand, you know, if you're just like, whatever, you know, at this point. So no hard feelings. But again, this channel will be closing one chapter and going to another. here soon. So I wanted to be as honest as possible with you all and to put everything out there. But if you have been here for the duration, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Paul appreciates everybody and their feedback they've given over the years. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I guess we'll see you further down the road.